The Soulpit, and by extension the Soulcores, got introduced with the recent summer update 2024, and this video is to explain everything you need to know about this feature, starting with the concept of Soulcores. These can be dropped by any fiendish creature at a somewhat rare chance. Fiendish creatures are a bit of an older feature that if you want to learn more about them, check this video. But basically, at any given point in the map, there can be up to 4 creatures turning to fiendish, and those creatures will do more damage and have a chance of unique drops to this status, starting with the dozen slivers for the Exaltation Forge, then the gems for the Wheel of Destiny, and more recently the Soul Core or Soul Prism. The Soul Prism is used to change the difficulty of a Soul Core to a higher one, because the core they drop will match the creature it came from. So killing a creature like a Rockworm results in a Rockworm Soul Core of an easy difficulty in the bestiary. Using a Soul Prism on it will roll that Soul Core into any creature from the medium, hard or challenging difficulty, although for the most part it goes one level higher. Additionally, there is a rare chance of getting another Soul Core from the same bestiary type of creature when killing a fiendish, for more rare creatures like from events or spawns, like Yetis, Midnight Panthers, Ogres, and more. But by the way, killing creatures inside of the Soulpit doesn't give any progress on their actual bestiary, so for example, killing Yetis inside the Soulpit will not complete their bestiary. However, having the creature unlocked beforehand allows you to put charms on them, and those do affect the creatures inside the Soulpit, so for creatures in the hard or challenging difficulty, it's almost essential to have charms on them in advance to make it easier. Now, once you have a Soul Core, then inside the Soulpit in Sparkle or Shroudmere, the person standing in the front square can use the shrine on the core, and everyone standing in the line up to 5 people will be transported to a room to face off that creature, where there will be 4 waves of 7 creatures each, with each of them increasing the difficulty of some of the creatures, using the concept of finish and influence creatures. So a number 5 inside the Soulpit can be considered a 5-stack influence creature outside, and the number 15 equals its fiendish version. Then after defeating the first 3 waves of creatures, then on the 4th one a mini boss type will spawn. This one equals almost 3 times the strength of a fiendish, and on top of that it comes with a new ability such as Enrage, which increases the damage it does and its resistance as the HP drops. Oppressor, which can use multiple debuffs that can also be applied at the same time. These include Hex, Fear, Root, and Powerless. And lastly, the Overpower, which gives the creature crit chance on all attacks. You can identify which ability will be by looking at the terrain the rune takes form at the start, as each of them represents a different ability. Personally, the one that I find the most scary will be the Mega Crit, because even creatures that you normally wouldn't have an issue with can do some high combos. Just look at this picture. In one combo, this Knowledge Elemental did over 10k damage to me, not to mention it was followed right after by another 3k when my Gift of Life proc, all of that from one creature, which resulted in my instant death, despite not having any indication of danger in the previous waves. And for the record, dying inside the Soulpit counts like a regular death, so be mindful of that. Obviously, as long as you're doing an easy or medium difficulty, then the risk is fairly low. And by now, you might be wondering why do any creature to begin with? Well, the reward for completing a Soul Core is a permanent 2% experience increase from that creature. This is applied to the raw XP the creature will give you, which in turn gets multiplied after by things like XP Prey, Boost, or Green Stamina. So it ends up being a nice addition in the long run, but you will be only getting the extra experience from creatures that you had done in the Soulpit, and additionally, for every 10 creatures you had completed, then the bonus experience goes up by 0.1%, reaching a cap of another 2%, for a total of 4% once you have done 200 creatures. This is their way of incentivizing people to do more of them, and personally I'm not a fan, but it's also not mandatory, and for a long-term feature you can do it whenever you feel like. However, I do recommend to complete soul cores of creatures you are actually hunting, the sooner the better, as that little bonus of 2% experience adds up the longer you hunt that creature. At the making of this video, easy filler soul cores can start up at 500k in some servers and up to 2kk base price in more popular servers. It truly is up to the demand and supply of players, which currently has a much higher demand of people wanting to buy than those looking to sell. As for actual huntable creatures, it will depend on the type, but for the most part, the majority of soul cores has gone down in price since the update, and now even the most contested creatures cores are under 10kk. So because this can at average cost over 200kk to complete, it's not recommended to do this solo, but with a group to share the cost. For players without a team, there is better options, such as joining an established 4-man team for the final spot and either paying gold or with soul cores. Most teams will be interested on this exchange, because it benefits them as well. Sometimes it's the other way around. The 4-man team is selling their last spot instead. Another option is to gather up other solo players and form a makeshift team where everyone puts an equal amount of soul cores. So I encourage to explore your options as a solo player, because even though it is possible to do the Soulpit by yourself for the majority of creatures, it ends up being a loss to you in my opinion. And speaking of losses, for achievement hunters or completionists, there is a hidden reward for completing every creature core in the bestiary. You will receive the obelisk that triggers the soul cores as a decoration item for houses, but this is by no means easy to achieve, as it will require being a high level or getting help from higher levels, because there is definitely very hard creatures to do. So although it's not something I would recommend doing, I'm just letting you know of its possibility. And that's all I got for this video. Consider subscribing for more Tibia content. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to the Guild Causality, Night Star, and Tuna Hero for supporting the channel.